Hi, my name is Alison. You may see me in church and think that I've actually got everything all together, but this has only been the case for me for the last 3 years. So the theme today is about when your heart is broken, and my reality is I've probably lived the majority of my life like this. So I was always looking to fill the gap. My heart was constantly aching, and I'd listen to people saying, about filling the gap, and I never quite understood what that was. I just wanted to fill it and just make myself feel a little bit better. So my heart was constantly being broken from various experiences. As a teenager and a child, I was sexually abused, which again took another bit of my heart. There was other things that I kind of got involved with, which wasn't good, and eventually I had 2 suicide attempts, which ended me up in a mental health unit for 1.5 years when I was a teenager, and this just kind of added to the broken heart. That really should have ended everything. So after coming out of the hospital, I then tried to get into relationships which I had control over. I then ended up joining the ambulance service and thought maybe if I could help people, then that would restore my heart after my attempts. So one day, about 3 years ago, everything completely changed for me. I came to church and I was a bit of a mess, and my way with dealing with that was always to put a brave face on things. You'd never know that there was something wrong because I'd just try and cover it. So the preach was going on, and basically in the preach were these words that just kept resounding round in my head. It was, "Not my will, but your will be done." And that's what Jesus said in the Bible. And that just kept going and going and going. And my heart started pounding. And I knew in that moment that I had a decision to make. I either carry on the way I was going, which would have ultimately probably led to my death, or I change everything and start living for Jesus. So I committed my life to Jesus on that day, and I haven't looked back. My heart began to be healed, and I knew that this was just the right way for me. So I knew that the long-term relationship that I was in, it had to be ended, because the reality is I found my true love in Jesus, and the relationship I was in I knew wasn't any good for me. So from that day, life dramatically changed for me. I gave up all the addictions literally on that day, and I've been changed inside. So from this point, my life hasn't been plain sailing. It's not that you kind of give your heart and your life to Jesus and everything gets perfect. Things have been quite hard. I've been having to walk and process all the things that kind of hurt me from a young age and in my teenage years. But being able to do this with God at the centre of my life has been made much easier. With friends and support around me from the church, it's just made it so much easier. My walk with Jesus is just the best thing that I could have ever done, and I realise that now. I can honestly say that Jesus coming into my heart was the best decision I ever made. It's given me a hope for the future. I know that He's got plans for my life. I know that I'm secure in eternity. I know that He's always going to have me. He's always going to hold me. In those times where it's really hard, He's always going to comfort me. I've always got someone around me to speak to bring me through. When you feel like your heart is broken, I can honestly say that Jesus is the only one that can restore it. And the reality is there any hope? I'd 100% say yes.